I feel in the face of all the problems in the world impotent, and why I somehow cannot manage to transform I. Now here we get to the real problem, because we're always telling each other that we should be different. Now, I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't. Nor can I. That may sound depressing, but I'll show you it isn't. It's very hard. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems, is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves. So when we are aware of the ego I, we are aware of this chronic tension inside ourselves. And that's not us. It's a futile tension. So when we get the illusion, the image of ourselves, married to a futile tension, you've got an illusion married to a futility. And then you wonder why I can't do anything.
Well, good morning. You guys can probably see and hear me. I consider it probable. Welcome. Thanks. I'm an hour late today. I spent the last hour trying to fix TradingView to allow me to record video ideas. I tried every variable I can think of, including resetting my chart layout, and to be honest, I'm pretty annoyed by that. It just didn't even work. But it's a quick fix for just me getting this back to how I like it. So just give me like 2 seconds here. That's good enough. I can settle for that for now. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of trial and error to get that good that fast. Anyway. No way for me to record video ideas, but if anyone... I opened a support ticket. If anyone can figure that out, please let me know. Anyway, we actually do need to talk about this slightly bizarre Bitcoin move. And if you are looking at Bitcoin right now, please do not look at any tether chart or tether pairing or the Bitfinex chart, as there is still a ridiculous amount of divergence as a result of the all the FUD happening over there, right? As long as price continues to diverge, and executives hint at getting arrested. Just as a whole, I would stay away from that company. $850 million. You know, if you're short $850 million and you own an exchange, what would be the fastest and easiest way to, generate $850 million? That's the real question, huh? Well, A Cat with Charts wrote something pretty recently. I have it buried in here somewhere. Found it. Come here, buddy. Sorry, I'm tired. There it is. Step 1, print 850 million USDT in April. Step 2, buy major liquid alts. Step 3, move alts to fiat exchanges. Step 4, sell alts to Bitcoin. Step 5, sell Bitcoin to fiat. That's why we're seeing all the altcoins dumped today and Bitcoin pumped today. The result, money appears from thin air. Bitfinex spread confuses the heck out of crypto social media again. And they would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for those meddling attorneys at the NYAG's office. New York Attorney General, baby. It is a bizarre week, to say the least. I was up till 5 in the morning, babysitting my trade. But I did end up stopping out, so let's actually talk about my current game plan. Okay. I did stop out of my trade, and I did identify new entry pivots. So I'm probably just going to recall a Bitcoin short, just when those pivots actually get hit. And I'll point out what I'm looking at right now. Of course, there's the 1050 period, and we are also looking at the 120 period from the longest overexpanded. Okay, let's take a look at that. Cool. Cool fact. Actually, a really nice fact. We typically use mean reversion entries as the longest overexpand, or 1/10 of the longest overexpanded period, written as a CCI. And what I figured out to do, or rather, why this chart becomes so nice, is because 1/10 of 150 or 1050 is 105, and guess what? Our current new longest overexpanded period is. It's damn close. It's 120. So the signal I would typically use to get a CCI roll down into the mean reversion trend. Now something even better has happened. We have now a new mean reversion pivot. For us to actually, reliably enter shorts, right? Because now we have a double downward draw of mean reversions if that mean reversion pivot is crossed, right? So when we enter the band, that activates condition. I recommend you enter 1/3 of your position when the condition activates, and the remaining 2/3 of your position are entered on the relative CCI roll down for the trade. And you know what? We get some pretty crazy results as far as those CCI roll downs go, because the mean reversion condition still holds. The problem is, it doesn't stick in the range, right? And here's an instance 240, right? So here it was the 240 period, so I'm just gonna load that up real quick. Okay. So when it entered the band and activated the mean reversion condition, which we would enter 1/3 of our short there, and then we would wait for a 28 period CCI roll down to enter the rest of the trade, which happened here, right at the top, and then it implies mean reversion down to its relative mean. So what's happening now is we're actually getting two mean reversions facing the same direction. One of them, the condition is already active, and the second one is actually the CCI roll, or rather very similar to the CCI roll, to which we would actually get the initial mean reversion confirmation. My God, it makes me a little bit less pissed at this chart. I lost money last night. That's fine. I had to stop out of my position when we started going parabolic. But because we had a significant move, we generated a lot of mass. And because we've generated a lot of mass, that's good news for us, because now we can have an even stronger or more reliable pivot when it hits. I gotta say, if you stopped out of your shorts, that's good, that's fine. We did have a red candle close inside the 3.2, but it is a place of relative compression, so it shouldn't be that strong of a signal. Additionally, you know what, now that we just have the mean reversion condition active itself, and then a secondary mean reversion condition taunting us and rapidly rising, we're going to get a second short entry here pretty soon. Just until then, sit tight, because we are technically in an active uptrend, despite the initial downward mean reversion condition still being active as well. I know, conflicting signals. That's why we want to wait for the secondary mean reversion signal to roll down, which oddly enough is in confluence with our 1/10th period CCI roll down. So in reality, we have, at this current time, we have one signal pointing up, one signal pointing down, and one neutral signal. But as soon as we re-enter the 120 band, right, that's going to be one downward signal because the trend will have ended, another downward signal because we're still in the active downward mean reversion condition, which is the one consistent in both scenarios, and then the third downward signal would be the new mean reversion activated by the new longest overexpanded period on the 1 hour chart here. So I'm going to draw it out one more time because I'm kind of proud of myself on that analogy. It's not really an analogy, but we have an uptrend. However, we also have the initial downward mean reversion, and then we have a mean reversion pivot that has not yet been activated, right? And that mean reversion pivot is actually in confluence with the CCI roll down of the initial mean reversion condition. So if the uptrend ends, cool, the uptrend ended. However, we'll be able to identify that by the re-entry of the longest overextended period, which is another downward arrow. And if that downward arrow crosses, right, it's actually going to be a parallel secondary downward arrow tied in with the 1/10th period CCI confirmation for this ending of trend. And then, of course, there's the initial mean reversion condition itself. So we enter this band here. It's a very good short scenario. Until then, no man's land, because literally this is just a super neutral chart until we actually return inside. And yeah, we have cleared both of my important benchmarks of the weekly 50 and top edge of our mean reversion pivot, and that is fine, folks. That's okay. That's what stop losses are for, right? Stopped out of the majority of my position. I'm looking for re-entry on the secondary scenario I just drew out for you. Okay, stay safe, don't over leverage, and get some rest, please. Don't overdo it. Hello, Father. Just one comment. I'm going to call that it for today, even though we just have this beautiful constant increase of viewerships. I'm just too tired. Too tired today. Oh, God. I need to get some rest. I ran a 5K before the live stream, too, and that didn't help. Right. Okay, see ya.